Godzilla Minus One came out recently, and you can tell that those who are coming to watch it are simply fans of film. It's a movie that's been picking up audience over time, and I think it's peaked, but it should be staying in cinemas till after the new year. So far, there have been 37 installments of Godzilla, which comes from a subgenre known as kaiju. The anime fans of the cinema have been teaching me all about kaiju, which is a form of media that involves giant monsters. Some of my favorite kaiju movies include Cloverfield and Ghostbusters. Please feel free to share your thoughts. Pretty much all of this movie is in Japanese, so if you speak the language, you won't need the subtitles. If, however, you do not speak the language, then you will need to read the subtitles if you want to follow the plot. There was big hype in the build up for this movie because, unlike recent installments, it is set in Japan, and we heard that it would have a big focus on wartime themes. This means the movie would be a callback to the original and a Godzilla story which is done right. The movie is set just after the fall of Japan in World War II, with the country having to rebuild from zero. But when Godzilla, who has been galvanized by atomic weaponry, appears on the scene, Japan falls below zero, hence the -1. It's an interesting choice to place Godzilla into this time period, because the population has recently suffered devastation, and now they have to band together to face this new threat. It really shows the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. And that's really what sets this movie apart, the human characters and their relationships. We're introduced to Koichi, who's a failed kamikaze pilot suffering from survivor's guilt. And he's hurting, but that's something that can't be cured. He goes on to form an unlikely family with Noriko and Akiko, who stumble into his life. And with them, Koichi tries to start fresh, but everything is thrown up into the air when Godzilla starts causing trouble. What makes this movie compelling, though, is that we grow to care for this makeshift family and the characters that we meet along the way, and we don't want them to face any further devastation. But of course, Godzilla does end up causing big problems for Koichi, and he seems to wage a personal war against him. And a lot of the time, he seems to be smiling while doing it, and you begin to wonder whether it is personal. Just chill out. Why are you doing this? So given we know Godzilla is this symbol of atomic war and devastation in Japan, and he's inserted into this time period, the movie can be quite emotional, especially with how desperate the acting is at times. Saying that, the movie doesn't miss a beat with making the audience care and really feel what the characters are feeling on the screen. There are plenty of Godzilla sequences with sufficient destruction. He is terrifying in this movie, and you really aren't happy when he's breaking everything and biting people in two. All efforts to stop him are futile. We see gunshots, tanks firing, mines exploding, but nothing seems to faze him. Everything is helpless and small in comparison. But in the end, something must be done. There are some issues with the visuals, but these can be forgiven, because the movie has a relatively low budget, and when it looks good, it looks really good. Also, you're too engaged with everything else the movie does well to have these small things take you out of it completely. The sound design, the roaring, the heat rays, the smashing and trampling, it's great noise. If you're watching it in a good cinema, it makes you feel like you're in the heart of the action. We also get to hear the classic Godzilla theme in some pretty cool moments. The key themes of family, friendship, self-forgiveness, and just the strength of the human spirit means that this one is a roaring 8 out of 10. The year at the cinema seemed to be fizzling out, but this movie provided one final bright spot to round it all off. I would recommend trying to find the biggest screen possible to watch this one, because Godzilla really looks better at scale. One more thing I wanted to wait a second, what is that? Ariga, Godzilla. Coming up, we've got the latest Studio Ghibli release, The Boy and the Heron, coming out on Boxing Day, and I've got a New Year's Day special coming as well. So until next time,